Hello again, everybody. This is Dan Clouser, and welcome back to the Journey of My Mother's Son podcast. I am joined now with Kyle Denton, who is a disciple here in the Success Program at the Dream Center. First podcast of 2022. So, Kyle, thanks for kicking off the new year with me.
No problem. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, we first met you last September when we were here.
Yes.
And when we got here back in early December, you were still here. You came up and greeted us as we were trying to get set up in the wet, soggy mud, Beaumont, Texas, and
Yes, sir.
Here we are. And I love being able to share the stories that you guys have because I think they're inspirational. I think some people can learn from them, and I think if there's listeners out there who are going through some of the things that you guys went through to get you here, it can be a huge help.
Yes, sir.
So, first of all, just tell me a little bit about your story. What got Kyle to the Dream Center, and what are your goals as you go through the program, and what you want to do as you continue this journey of recovery.
Yeah. Okay. So I am 30 years old. I'm not actually from Texas. I'm from Northern California, just outside the Bay Area. And the reason I'll tell you how I got connected with this place in a second, but the story of how I got here, how I got into recovery is just like anybody else. Has its some rough childhood. Some points were rough in my childhood. Some of it was good. I played sports. I was traveled the country playing ice hockey. It was really good in ice hockey. I've been to Canada, Minnesota, East Coast, Chicago playing hockey. I played on the second best team in California for high school football, like the big schools. Competitive. I did have good grades in high school for the most part. I messed up a little bit there because of drugs. I started getting drugs, but I graduated with 3.3 grade point average. Went to a school that was a charter school because I was smart. And I had great parents. I had parents that my father worked at the same grocery store as a manager for 40 years. My mom is an amazing, loving mom. So I had everything. I had a lot of things going for me as a child. But what really messed me up was, and I'm also the youngest of three children. I have an older brother and sister. When I was 16, around that time, 15, 16 years old, my parents got divorced in an ugly way. One cheated on the other. We found out, very ugly way. And for a 16-year-old, that's all that's all I knew.
Right.
It wasn't like it was really hard for me. My brother and sister already out of high school, already moved on, and they were able to deal with it a little bit better than I did.
Mm-hmm.
And they had motives and goals by that time to get to where they needed in life, which they are today. My brother's a police officer. My sister works for Child Protective Services. They're very successful in a sense in the world's eyes. They're good people. But the parents' divorce after 30 years really kind of split me up. The last 2 years of my childhood split me up to two different houses. It was just kind of like, it's just really hard to deal with. Now looking at it, it was hard to deal with. At the time I was, but that's when I started doing smoking weed. Not just smoking weed, because I started jumping to the next level it wasn't just smoking weed for me. It was smoking weed. I wasn't too big into drinking, not more than any other kid, never have been, but I was popping ecstasy, snorting cocaine, which at 16 years old, like not all the kids are doing that. There are a few, and
doing coke at 16 is probably pretty.
Yeah, and I was doing a lot of coke. Like for a 16-year-old, I was doing it in class sometimes to do a lot of coke. Like I can already see me. Like I said, looking back at it now, I was becoming an addict real soon. The devil hit me at a bad time. He was all worked out. Because also, I forgot another bad part of my childhood was when I was from the age of 6 to 9, I was molested by a family member multiple times, which really affected, I think, a lot of things. I still don't know fully from it. Like the healing part of that, God's still working some of that out. But I forgave that person, which is still hard. But anyways, and also when I was 16, the other thing that happened, I actually killed my puppy, a 1-year-old dog. I was gonna go to go to ice hockey practice in the Bay Area, tryouts, and I drove it. I had a truck, a Silverado, and she used to always follow me in the car, and she was my best friend because after my parents' divorce, she was a black lab, and she jumped in the car, and I didn't see her jump in the car. Come back out 2 hours later. It's 100 degrees, 10 degrees outside, and she was dead. I think God's still trying to heal me of that one too. So, I mean, that was a lot to take in at 16.
Yeah.
So those drugs, it was which led to me being when I was 18 years old. I quit. I quit smoking weed, drinking, everything. I moved to my grandparents' house, and at my grandparents' house, because I transferred jobs. I had a job. I was doing okay. I was trying, but I was still very clinically depressed. I was very depressed. Lost all my friends in high school. They all moved on. I had nobody. I was living with my grandparents. They're in their 80s. My grandfather's dying of lung cancer. And like I said, the devil came in at a time and presented me something that fixed everything, and that was Vicodin. That was painkillers. My grandparents had painkillers, and my grandpa normally, and the sad thing is he was needing them at the time. There wasn't just me going to their cabinet, they're not using them. I was taking some of the stuff
Something that they actually needed.
My grandfather
use
needed
for their health.
In pain, and which is very sad and very immature and childish and stupid and messed up. And that's something that I had to make a living amends every day for my grandfather. But that led me to doing a lot of biking. I'm talking. I ran down. It was a lot quick, not just one here and there. It was 15, 16 pills a night, just running through it. I fell in love with opiates. It was an escape. It wasn't weed. It wasn't drinking. It was something different. It was a whole new excuse.
So at that point in your life, you were only doing pills?
Yes.
You weren't doing, Coke was gone, the weed.
Yeah,
I
kind of stopped with that.
Basically all just the opioids.
Yeah, I was like I said, I was away from my home. So I didn't go down that route. I was just doing, the only thing that was really around me was pills. And that's all I needed, I couldn't get high on ecstasy or coke at my grandparents' house. So anyways, fast forward is, I basically got kicked out of my grandparents' house, and for lack of a better words, I don't know how to say it. My grandfather told me that he wasn't proud of me, and that I'd never mount up to anything. That's one of the last things my grandfather said to me. Wow. So, and my grandfather ended up about 6 months later killing himself with his own gun. And he was a retired police officer, a good man. I don't know why to this day why he did that. It just wasn't in his character, but it's kind of hard. I didn't end up in good terms with my grandfather. So, when I went back home, I was trying to pipe back home to with my mom or my dad, depending on the week. I was trying to find Vicodin pills on the streets, and I was finding them. It was hard, cost money, just wasn't really the get down. And but I found an old buddy I grew up with, and he was on heroin, selling black tar heroin, and that led to, it took a while for him to convince me to do it, but within 2 or 3 weeks of meeting him back up again, and I was slamming heroin in my.
How old were you at this point?
I was 19, maybe 20, 19. So that led to 2.5 year heroin addiction. But when I was 21 and a half, I ended up getting to the point where I was homeless, living in a tent in Stockton, California. If you know anything about Stockton, California, it's very ghetto. It's all tent city, and it's very grimy. One of the guys out there on the streets told me when I hit the streets that first night, he said, "Welcome to epitome of addiction, tent city of people just." I was the youngest one by 10, 15 years, and slamming heroin, sharing needles, slamming heroin every day, smoking crack cocaine. I didn't shower for 3 months. I had a warrant for my arrest.
What was the warrant for?
Burglary, and possession of heroin, and accessory to stabbing. Somebody I was with got stabbed. But anyways, there's the good news about that stuff got dropped. Not dropped, but I did a program. Well, I'm getting to that. So it's funny how God works, because I hadn't showered in 3 months. I was holding a sign, and maybe 6 months prior, 4 months prior, my buddy of mine named Curtis, heroin addict, and he used to always go to this guy named Anthony's house, and he had a men's home, a Christian men's home, which the guys that, not him, but the leaders of that program were all from the LA Dream Center that graduated previously. This is Northern California. So this is 6-7 hours drive away from LA.
Right.
But these men have graduated there, and Anthony's the one that brought them there. And he started home. They're running it. There's 10, 15 guys in the home or whatever. And I used to always go over there and visit Curtis because, he was a friend of mine, and so they always talk to me, minister to me, and kind of, love on me in a sense. But anyway, so I finally, that was in the back of my head, that place, but I didn't, I already tried twice, left detox. It was, left my dad one day when he picked me up, some crazy stuff, and out of nowhere, I don't probably remember the story. It was a pretty crazy story. I'm trying to remember because it was all God. And there's an important story because even though in the years to come, I did mess up again, and all these, but this story really brought me to God. Is when I used to go to this McDonald's and kind of by the police station, it has a security guard there because it's a really bad area, drug area. He didn't like me. This guy did not like me, the security guard. He did not like me. I don't know what it was. He just kicked me out and started to call the cops. He wasn't like that to everybody. I wasn't like a dude causing problems. I didn't get it. Well, one day I'm sitting there. He pulls up to me when I'm holding a sign. This is a whole other part of town. This isn't the same part of town. Nowhere near that McDonald's, 2-3 miles away. And he says, hey, he gives me $2. He says, hey, your dad's looking for you. I'm like, Dad? No, my mind was not even thinking about all this. My dad, he's like, yeah, I hopped in the car with him and everything. We tried to find you yesterday for like 3 hours, driving around Stockton, and so this trip. My dad, I thought he just gave up on me and everybody. I was already committed to doing this the rest of my life. So much shame, crazy, 21 years old, and I was ready to give up on life. And then what happened was the next day or within the next few days, I just got enough money to get some drugs and get some heroin. And if I was gonna meet up with the drug dealer and I was gonna go behind the trash can, I was gonna be gone for 3-4 hours from that area. My dad kind of heard I was in that general area, so I was walking to go to the payphone and get him, and I hear my name, and it's my dad. And he, I don't know why, it's just crazy. And he's,
It's okay.
I'm like, why is he here? So I go up to him and I'm thinking he's gonna condemn me. And the first time I ever saw God's love was through my dad. He just hugged me and said, let's go get some help. Gave me his shoes off his feet, socks. Anyways, so I went to Anthony's men's home, and it's just all timing, is all God. And I grew up in church, Lutheran church. My dad was a Christian, but my mom, she's a Christian. She's just not a follower. My mom was alcoholic, and I love her to death, but she has her own issues, which I believe I got my addictive qualities from. And I've done a lot of hurt to my mom too, and I'm not proud of that either. And there's a lot of healing to go there as well. But anyways, when I went to this men's home, it's called Fishers of Men Discipleship, Search and Rescue Dream Center, and it was I fell in love with Jesus. I was 22, and I was able to not have to withdraw heroin, but do a methadone detox, 21-day detox program, which basically detox off. You use methadone for 3 weeks, and then you're able to get out. By the time the 3 weeks are done, you're off the heroin, and you don't feel it because you're using the methadone. You do such a small amount, you don't kick it. So I was there for a year and a half, and I did very well. I was on fire for God. I was reading 10 chapters of the Bible daily. I was really serving. I knew God has called me to ministry, and I was on fire. Well, I know it's a new believer's fire, but I knew I never felt love like that in my life. Bought a car, was paying rent somewhere, was just doing good in my life. Starting to learn responsibility, and that's one thing that still to this day I haven't learned, because it's hard to learn to be responsible when you're growing up and you're doing drugs or in your programs. I still learning that myself, responsibility. So anyways, I ended up relapsing. First time relapsing, I didn't understand relapse, that I was on cloud 9, but then I relapsed, due to some issues, due to whatever. Trying to shorten this up here, but
You don't have to shorten it up.
okay, I know.
It's your story, man.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. Some of this I forgot about. It's crazy. I like it's good I'm speaking this out because it's reminding me of stuff. I decided to go to the LA Dream Center. And because the guys there graduated said, this hasn't worked. You messed up. Go get a change. And I was there for 9 months. I didn't graduate. I was actually really not full in at that point because I just relapsed. And I had to come back to another program for this and that. I ended up moving. I'm gonna keep this part short for sure. I ended up moving to Minnesota for a while. My mom lived out there because my sister lives there still. And I got a fiance that was 15 years older than me. So I get married to her. Thought that was the one, and all this stuff. And I messed up. I started using. Oh, here's the pros of Minnesota is I had never really used methamphetamines until I moved to Minnesota. I used a little bit when I was doing heroin. I was smoking every once in a while. Somebody had it. I ain't spending my money. I wasn't gonna spend my money on meth. I didn't like tweakers. It just wasn't my drug of choice. I was a heroin addict. But if somebody had extra or something and I wasn't gonna waste my money or not mess up my high on heroin, I would do something. It's cool. I didn't love it that much. It just wasn't my drug of choice at the time. Well, I moved to Minnesota and I got that itch to get high again. I was bored, living out there with nobody. Like I said, I don't drink really, so drinking don't give me. I could drink and it just everybody was drinking out there, and I was like, I don't really feel the vibe of drinking. Maybe because my mom's an alcoholic, I just don't. It's not really that. It's not enticing to me. So I found meth out there because that's all. Meth is everywhere. That's the one drug that's everywhere. I don't care where you're at in this country, at least you can find it. And I started slamming methamphetamines, and that's been on a journey of the last 5 years of being on and off meth. But I did go to the Dream Center back again after this run of being on meth. And
In LA.
yeah, I went to LA. So meth started messing with my head and gave me really bad paranoid psychosis, just like it does a lot of people. Really messed me up. It's to this day, my mind's very fragile on it. But I went to LA and again, and I graduated. It was every year and a half. Did second year, and Aaron was there with me. I graduated with Aaron, as you know. I know you guys don't know on the podcast, but a buddy of mine that's still here. And that's where, I did really good there. The second year, I had a lot of favor there. I got, actually ended up getting hired on staff there, but I ended up not starting the job because like I said, I relapsed again. That's been an issue for me is relapsing. But the reason why I'm here is because Pastor Mike and Velma were the ones that were the directors of the Dream Center Discipleship Program in LA. So I knew them. I've known them for 7 years now, actually. Well, we're going on 8 years now. I've known them, and didn't know them too well at the first time I was there. And the second time I was there, I knew him because me and Velma are from the same area, but Northern California. And Pastor Mike, I'm a redhead like him, so we've always had that kind of small conversation talk. And then so I also, but in between that time from here in LA, I got back on my feet. I was in a part of a ministry called Inner City Action. I traveled the country doing street ministry, evangelism, revivals, amazing ministry. I did the sound for them, and I've seen God really uses me, and that's what the reason why I'm saying this is I was bred for ministry. That's when I do good. That's when and I try so hard to make it in life and be successful in the world and try not to use drugs, but and people tell me, why are you not successful? You're smart. You get the gab. You got discipline. Whatever they could say, a million different things they could tell me, and they don't get it. But when I do ministry, and I'm in ministry, I flourish. I had one of my pastors when we were in Pennsylvania. Actually, we're in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Wilkes-Barre area, and we're sitting down and I was talking to her, and she said, Kyle, I don't get it. She said, I'm not sitting inside and get. She says, when I see you out there evangelizing, and we're in the streets, we're right where I was at when I was homeless. That type of environment. He says, you shine. You got fire in your eyes. Like, why do you keep going back to drugs? You weren't meant for it.
What's your answer? Why don't you ask that?
I just I'm dealing. I wish I knew the full answer to that, because if I did, I think I'd be able to conquer that and head on more. But there's different reasons. I think I haven't dealt with some stuff. As you could tell, I still stuff in my childhood I haven't dealt with. I don't even know how to deal with. And I think one I'm just starting to realize since being back in Texas, because I was here last year and I've been back home for a while, but I'm back here, is my faith in God that He's gonna give me all those things that I desire and want. I don't trust the process like I should. And then when you keep doing it and doing it and doing it, this process, and it's a good thing because I'm not giving up. somebody once told me, they said the devil can't beat you if you don't give up. Or you can knock you down as much as you want, but as long as you keep going, he hasn't won. And I always look at it like this, Muhammad Ali, and I wasn't around when he boxed, but Muhammad Ali, what made him a really good boxer, from what people tell me, what I could tell from tapes, was the analogy of this for me is really kind of gets me going. Somebody told me this someday. Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay, whatever you want to call him, sting like a butterfly. I don't know the saying. He wasn't this big knockout boxer, this big get you in the first round.
Right.
He was 12 rounds. You're gonna
He'd wear you down.
He's on the ropes. And he looks like you're gonna win the whole time. But he's wore you out in that last round. He got you. And I feel like I had that sometimes. That's where I'm at. My walk is I get beat up. I'm on the ropes, but as long as I don't give up, and as long as I stay in the ring, God will come in and do the rest. Yeah.
So between when we were here last September and when we got here in December, you relapsed again?
Yes, I went home in last November, 2020 for Thanksgiving. I was supposed to go home for a week for my mom's back in Northern California. I decided, when I went there, I decided to stay. Kind of had those reservations. Another point I was going to make is because I keep doing this over and over again. I program. I learn how to program. I learn how to do this, and it gets not new to me. It gets very not challenging, and I didn't challenge myself in different ways. I just got bored. I can put the Christianese on really well, and I can look the part, and that doesn't help me because it just allows me to get through it easier. It's like guys that go back to prison. They know how to they're institutionalized. They know how to program in the prison. They know how to do it. It makes it easier for them. So, but I went back and I eventually had to relapse. Yes, I didn't do super bad out there. I had a job for a while. I was able to get work and had some good moments and stuff. But it's like I'm there. I'm almost there. I feel like I feel like I'm almost there. Like I'm conquering it slowly. But the thing about drug addiction is you don't. That one day you can lose your life. You can try to conquer and conquer and conquer. Maybe you will someday. Maybe God will give you the grace to keep you alive to get you to the point where you're done, but you're messing around with, you're literally playing with the devil when it comes to drugs. And I have first-hand experience. I've known probably 30, 40 people I know that died from heroin overdose, murdered, something to do with drugs. I just recently found out that I have something wrong with my blood, blood disease, which it's hard for me to talk about right now, but and that's from this last run. See, God saved my life. I wasn't dead, but I shared a needle twice. That's it. I shared a needle 100 times before, got nothing, but this time I did. And I haven't even told the guys yet, because I don't want them to shame the guilt of it. I'm still processing that, but I'm here, and I'm dealing with it, in a safe place.
Yeah. So when did you get back?
I got back. Did you ask me yes before? I didn't answer.
No.
I got back in September, mid-September, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been here another 2-3 months at this point?
About 3.5 months, yeah.
Okay. So this time around, what are you doing differently?
What am I doing differently?
To try to make it stick?
Well, I think I'm trying to take the reservations out of my heart of whatever that may be, drugs, going back home. I think the biggest one to work on right now is staying here, not going back home. For me, going back home is a lot of different reasons why it's not good for me. But I think me just accepting that I'm gonna be here, take that option out the window. It really allows me to start working on myself. Because when I think I'm gonna go back home or trying to find a way to go home, I don't care about working on myself.
Yeah. So do you think you'll be here through the internship program and then go to the third year? What's the name of the third year program?
Missionary volunteer.
Missionary volunteer.
Yeah. So here's my goals. This is the good part, right? It's all the good part. But due to me graduating in LA, Pastor Mike and Velma have basically let me know that I won't have to do it the whole year in the internship. The quite exact time, it's around 6 months or so that I'll be doing, I believe. If they decide to change that and make me do a year, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with all that. I'm here. But after internship, in a few months from now, or three months or so from now, 2.5 months, whatever it may be. But I will be doing an internship the whole year, and I will be working in the office. I will be doing exactly what I did in LA as a caseworker, helping with the medical and legal stuff for the guys. It's something I'm excited about. I had 80 clients when I was in LA compared to now having about 15 to 20. But that's a good thing, so I'll be able to focus on them more. I'll be doing more. I'll be working the office. I should start tomorrow in the office. I was doing the warehouse and the outreaches, and be doing that for as long as they need me in my internship as well. Eventually, you can start working towards the end of your internship. I think it's case by case. I don't know the exact time frame, but when you get to internship, you can have a car. You can go out more and phone and stuff. But yeah, getting close. Let me drink this real quick. My coffee. Yeah, and then missionary volunteers, you basically get a job and you can save up and be here, as long as you want. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to do and show up to the events that you can, and check in. You don't have to pay rent. You can save money. One of the guys here, Ryan, is doing that.
Yeah.
And my goal though, Dan, is open up a dream center someday. That's been the goal from day one, basically. Since God told me I was opening up my own dream center. I've been at the mega one in LA. Now I'm at one that's new and that's starting up and trying to learn it from the ground up. And that's my goal. That's what God has in my heart.
Yeah.
I believe I can do it. I know it's for God because it doesn't seem like it's possible for me.
Well, I think, again, just from a semi-outsider's view, my opinion of a way for you to make it stick is exactly what you said. That woman that you talked about, where she said it seemed like you have a calling for for mission work and that sort of stuff. I can tell just when you're working in the warehouse, the way you have kind of a second wind, a new energy on food pantry days. Because basically that was you. Getting everything together. Figuring out what we were going to hand out, the order that it was going in, all that sort of stuff. So I think one way, I do see that you have a heart for helping others. I can see that for sure. And, I think that's where you need to start getting your high from.
Yeah.
Get that dopamine rush by helping others.
Yeah.
And, I don't think you'll need to have to go back to anything at that point. So again, that's just kind of from a 30,000 feet above view of, interacting with you for the past month and for the couple of days that we were here last September. I can really see that, that you do have a heart for giving to others. Let's face it, we're all human beings. We get, however, we always want to go back to what makes us feel good.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't want you going back to heroin or crack or any of the stuff you used to do. So, that feel good is out there helping others. And that's one of the reasons why Sandy and I absolutely fell in love with this program from day one when we got here. When Pastor Mike told us about the giving back component of, of what they do here. And I think that's a huge part of, the success of this recovery process, because, let's face it, when you're 19, 20 years old, how many times are you thinking of somebody other than yourself?
No.
Didn't happen.
Very selfish, especially as a drug addict.
Yeah. So I think, if you can just dive deep into giving back and helping others, I think that's what's going to put you over the hump for sure. Yeah. And, we'll definitely be praying for you for that.
Thank you, sir.
Without a doubt.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Appreciate it.
And you, Liz.
Yeah.
Love you, Liz.
We love you as well, and I know you loves you for sure. So we're just about out of time. Any other things that we didn't cover in this conversation that you want to, have my listeners hear?
No, just God is good, and I'm glad I'm able to. I'm glad we got to see each other again.
Yes.
And hopefully we can keep this friendship and brotherhood going, and talk in the future, and maybe one day you'll be on my podcast.
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
Cool.
So as you know, I ask all my guests one final question, because the Subtitle of the podcast is Many Little People in Many Little Places, which comes from the opening lyrics of a Michael Franti song, which go, when many little people in many little places do many little things and the whole world changes. So it's one of the little things that Kyle's doing on a daily basis to make the world a little bit better place.
Well, I was kind of pondering on that and meditating on that, and right now in the context of where I'm at and kind of being in a bubble. And it will change when I get out of this bubble in a more extended version. But I when I'm praying, I always pray for one of the guys around me in the program, or sometimes two or three, or maybe collectively everyone. But sometimes it's just one guy that needs a certain prayer. I stick with that. I focus on him, or I focus on. So I'm always praying for the guys around me because I'm in a program with another 20 other guys that are in the same position I'm in. And I think that was an important thing, and that's something I should talk about. But that's something I do that nobody knows about.
I think that's huge.
And there are times when it's just everybody collectively, but I do try to focus on a couple guys or my time on one person, or I'll be walking, I see some of the guys, so there it is. So that's basically what I do every day currently. That's helping change these men's lives or the world that's around us at the moment.
That's cool. I like that answer for sure. Kyle, I appreciate you taking the time. I know, it's not always easy for you guys to tell your stories and, be vulnerable out there. But I think it's incredibly strong and incredibly brave for you to sit down and, show your vulnerability to the world. And, again, hopefully it's inspiring for someone else who might be going through what you went through or has a family member going through what you went through. And it, gets them to get in contact with, either Mike or Vilma down here or one of the other dream centers that are, scattered throughout the country. So I think it's a very inspirational story, and I wish you the best of luck. Sandy and I would definitely be praying for you once we head down the road here. And, looking forward to, again, keeping this friendship going. So for folks out there listening, be sure to check out my other blogs and podcasts at danclouser.com. Kyle, thanks again for taking the time.
Thank you.